the home team's biggest fan. First game this year, pretzels, popcorn, beer. First round draft choice, Monday night, it's here. Sing the Stars and Stripes, announce the play-by-play. Offense, defense, deep pass, the wave.
They try to stop him with the man-to-man. Nickel, dime, 7 backs for the plan. Coin toss, timeout, a must-win game. The snap, the kick, the Hall of Fame. Earl B, he's our man. Earl B, the home team's biggest fan. Earl B, yeah, he is, yeah.
At George Daniel Stadium, and welcome to high school football. Tonight, the Lorain Admiral King Admirals and its homecoming are playing host to the Trojans of Canton Timken. It's kind of ironic, John, that both these teams have the exact same colors, blue and gold. However, their records are just a bit different. The Canton Timken Trojans have a 4-3 record, while the Admirals are 2-5. Both teams would like to have a big win tonight. The Admirals thus far have been really pounding out the yardage, not necessarily the points, through the airwaves. How do you see this game sizing up tonight?
Well, the way this thing stacks up is that this is an extremely pivotal game for Admiral King. They came back last week and beat a Vermilion football team after their #1 quarterback had been knocked out in the second half, and it was run and shoot offense, raining. Things didn't look good for the Admirals, and they came back a winner. So to answer your question, Ron, I think Admiral King found out last week that sometimes when the chips are down, you can still come back with a victory. So this week is important. What do they do after they won a game that a lot of people didn't think they were going to win last week? And this is just critical this week to see if they can build upon this. And to me, this is going to be an extremely interesting game because Canton Timken has always been a tough bunch of kids coming in from Canton. And we're going to see if the Admirals can just build on what they did last week. So I think I'm looking forward to the game personally.
And as you indicated, to exemplify on that, Tillman coming in for Rossitano last week in Vermilion really rose to the occasion. And, when the chips are down and somebody can rise to the occasion and bring out a victory like that, that's a lot of credit to Coach Steiner and the Admirals. And I know they're fired up tonight, not only because it's homecoming, but during the pregame warm-ups, they are truly fired up. And we're happy to say that Matt Rossitano will be starting at quarterback tonight. And
Ron, excuse me. Before we sign off, folks, if you recall, I asked a couple weeks ago if Ron would miss me when we didn't have anything going last week, and I was informed that he went to the volleyball circuit and sat with Mrs. Bastock and filled in for me. So obviously, Ron, my point to you is you didn't miss me that much because you got somebody a lot better looking than I did, and she did a great job with the volleyball, and so do you. So the next time when you say you miss me, please mean it or don't say it at all.
Ray Marie Bastock, you did a fantastic job. You are without a doubt much better looking than John Miss. But of course, if you would shave your hair so phase, that might make a difference. Anyway, the Admirals won the toss of the coin, and they deferred to the second half. So the Admirals will kick off defending the south goal. The Canton Timken Trojans will receive and defend the north goal. We'll have that kickoff and the start of tonight's game right after this timeout for Impressions.
Your one-stop place for something really special is Impressions, corner of Oberlin Avenue and Tower Boulevard. T-shirts and sweatshirts personally designed to your specific needs. Anything from bears, trains to zebras, and specially designed hats as well. And don't forget Impressions, your one-stop spot for school jackets. See Dave, the designer expert at Impressions, Oberlin Avenue at Tower Boulevard, right here in Lorain.
Ready to get underway here at George Daniel Stadium. As we indicated, the Admirals won the toss of the coin but deferred until the second half to receive. They're kicking off, defending the south goal. Kicking off for the Admirals, Jordan Buck. The deep receivers for the Trojans, Anthony Ruffin, Stanley Broyles, and Keenan Hughes. And there's the kick. Picked up about the goal line and tripped up in there. Making the return Anthony Ruffin for the Trojans. It'll be Canton Timken's ball, 1st and 10 as they go on offense. Checking the backfield for the Trojans. Quarterback is Preston Curtis, a 170 senior. Ricky Taylor at fullback, a 264-pound senior. The tailback is Acoria Stovall, a 218-pound senior. And the other back is Claudius Hosenbachas, a 157-pound junior. The center is Rick Forney, a 172-pound sophomore. The two guards, Asa Daniels, a 206-pound junior, and J.R. Williams, a 276-pound senior. The two tackles, James Graham on the left, 245-pound senior, and Bill Friend, a 291-pound senior. The tight end is Mike Moses, a 212-pound senior, and the split end is Eric Stovall, a 178-pound junior. And apparently the officials are helping one of the Admirals up off the field, Wesley Nixon, injured on that kickoff return. And he's off the field on his own power. We're all set to go. So you've got the lineup offensively for the Trojans. We'll check the Admirals defense in a moment. Calling the signals, Preston Curtis. Curtis hands off to his big tailback, Acoria Stovall. Doesn't pick up too much on that play as the Trojans are beginning 1st and 10 on their own 17-18 yard line. No gain on the play. It'll be 2nd down and 10. Defensively for the Admirals, the nose guard is Jason Williams, a 245-pound junior. The two tackles, Mark Fox and Jesus Sanchez. And the ends are Tim Blakely and William Gordon. The linebackers, Jake Harder and Jeff Tillman. The give this time by the Trojan quarterback to his tailback again, Acoria Stovall. Picked up maybe a yard on the play. It'll be 3rd down and 9. The monster for the Admirals defensively is John Gall, a 175-pound senior. The corner is Chris Miller. The safety is David Hands, and the defensive half is James Williams. And there you have the lineup defensively for the Admirals. And on the 3rd and 9, a big play here for the Trojans if they want to keep their drive alive here at the very beginning of this ball game. And it's the quarterback, Preston Curtis, with it. He's to the 20, 25, and he's got a 1st down as he's knocked out of bounds over on the far side at about the 31-yard line. Big play and a big opportunity.
Okay, on this play, Canton Timken showed split backs, and one of the split backs is Rick Taylor, 264-pound senior halfback, fullback. They showed two receivers down here at the bottom of the screen. I don't think Canton throws the ball extremely well, and what they did was they did a bootleg keep, which netted them a 1st down. So don't look for Canton to throw the ball an awful lot early.
1st and 10 for the Trojans on their own 31-yard line. The give is to the first man through, Ricky Taylor, a 264-pound senior fullback. Picks up maybe a yard or 2 on the play. Up front offensively for the Trojans, their front 5 average 238 pounds, which is just 3 pounds on average per man than the Admirals' front 5. The Admirals' front 5 averaging 235 pounds. The Trojans are coached by Mike Hedrick. And the first pass play by the Trojans, making the reception, Eric Stovall, out of bounds at about the 43-yard line. That'll be another 1st down, covering for the Admirals, John Gall. 1st and 10, Trojans on their own 43.
Okay, now what you're going to see here, it's going to be tackle over, tight end weak. So you're going to see a formation that the Admirals have seen before, and that's why they were able to go to that bootleg before when the quarterback rolled that way. I'll explain this later in the game.
On the 1st and 10, to give again, first man through, fullback Ricky Taylor gets across the 45-yard line. They'll spot the ball at about the 46. a pickup of 3 yards. It'll be 2nd down and 7, making the tackle Jesus Sanchez, who, by the way, prior to the start of tonight's football game, was picked as the homecoming king. It's homecoming night for the Admirals. The homecoming king, Jesus Sanchez, and the queen, Michelle Muniz. And we certainly congratulate that fine couple and, of course, their escorts as well. On the pass play, Curtis looking, and in and out of the hands of his receiver, who stood there all by himself. Whether he was shocked to get the ball, I don't know, but what an opportunity for another big 1st down for the Trojans. Instead, it's going to be 3rd and 7.
Ron, on this, Canton Timken showed a pro formation, tight end flanker at the bottom of the screen. They had a split end at the top of the screen. Second time that they've got the quarterback outside the perimeter. They did a boot. They had initially the split in. If he had time, there was a touchdown and 6. He had gotten back beyond the corner, threw to the fullback in the flat, and like you said, the fullback should have caught it.
Another big 3rd down play for the Trojans. Last time Curtis ran for the 1st down. We'll see what he does this time, and it's going to be pass play, and in out of the hands and intercepted. The intended receiver, Mike Moses, a big 212-pound senior, and that was grabbed up in there by the Admirals' David Hands. He picks up the loose ball in midair and just before it was ready to hit the ground, and that gives the Admirals a 1st and 10 on their own 44-yard line.
What Canton Timken ran there was a pop pass, a play-action pass to one of the split backs, and they threw it to Mike Moses. He initially had the ball, but took a hit, and David Hands had the interception. Nice job, Admirals defense.
And a great job by David Hands being at the right place at the right time. Rossitano, the quarterback, and on the first play from scrimmage, a pass play picks up maybe about a yard on the play. The intended receiver, or making the reception on that play for the Admirals, Jake Baxter.
And there was no tackler, because as soon as the square out inside slot man caught the ball, he fell down the reception. I'm sorry, Ron, go ahead.
I was just going to say, offensively for the Admirals, Matt Rossitano at quarterback. The fullback is Alan Penny. The fullback is Jake Baxter. Wingback is James Williams, and the other wingback is Jeff Tillman. I'm sorry, Alan Penny is the fullback. Jake Baxter is the backup for Alan Penny. And we have a whistle and a white and a yellow flag back on about the Trojans' 25-yard line. It'll be against the Admirals.
Are we looking at a delay of game or a procedural call?
Delay of game. Delay of game is the call. And that'll put the ball back on the Admirals' 41-yard line, where it's going to be 2nd down and 4. The center for the Admirals is Chris Miller. The 2 guards, Jason Williams and Jake Harder. The tackles, Mark Fox and Jesus Sanchez. The split end is David Hands, and the other split end, John Gall. Rossitano back to pass again, being chased. Over on the far side, the intended receiver for the Admirals,
David Hands. Right?
David Hands, covering on the play for the Trojans, Anthony Ruffin. It'll be 2nd down and 14.
What Admiral King is going to try to do here, they're showing what they call 5 wides. And at certain plays, they're trying to isolate David Hands on the away from the 4 wides, and put him one-on-one in the corner. Didn't work that time.
Rossitano from the shotgun, being chased, and on the screen pass, the intended receiver for the Admirals again, Jake Baxter, and he couldn't hang on, so it's a quick 3 and out as the Admirals will punt on the 4th down.
On this 5 wide offense, what Matt Rossitano tried to do there was a middle screen. One of the wides came underneath the rush. What's going to have to concern the Admirals looks to be the speed of the front 7 of Canton Timken, because Matt Rossitano, who was already deep in the backfield, didn't have enough time to complete the middle screen.
Jordan Buck will be punting from about his own 28-yard line. Nice high punt. Going to be picked up by the Trojans, Eric Stovall, and he is hit immediately. in on the play for the Admirals, Alan Penny. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Trojans, and the ball will be spotted on about their own 23-yard line.
The punt receiver for Canton Timken did something a little bit not usual. He should have caught the ball when he was supposed to, and he decided to pick up the ball when he wasn't supposed to, because once that ball hits, you don't want to be anywhere near the football. He was lucky that bounced right back to him.
That's a word that begins with D, called dangerous.
Absolutely.
The pitch goes back to Mendez Davis, making the stop for the Admirals, Jake Harder.
Okay, it looks like Mike Moses, the tight end from Canton Timken. Now he's coming back in. 37 had him in for a play as a substitute. Split backs, 2 receivers at the top of the screen. Quick pitch to the right halfback. Got a little bit of yardage, but not bad reactions with the Admirals.
Gain of 5 yards on the play, 2nd down and 5. And the give this time to Ricky Taylor. Gets the ball up close to the 30-yard line. Jake Harder making the tackle for the Admirals.
Okay, on this play, same look as before. 2 receivers at the top of the screen, split backs, but what they did was a fullback lead. The right half led for the left half, and Mr. Gordon, the defensive left end, and Jake Harder, the left linebacker for Admiral King, held their front up pretty well. Basically no yardage at all. So critical play here, 3rd and about 3. Let's see what they come up with.
Okay, Calvin Hope now in the lineup for the Trojans at fullback. In fact, it was Hope who carried the ball the last time for a pickup of about 2 yards on the play. And a flag.
I guarantee you this is delay of the game because there was confusion as the Timken people came out of the huddle, and the quarterback had to talk to about 4 or 5 people, and they just lost the time that they had.
Well, your guarantee is being verified by the official. Delay of game takes the ball back just inside the 25-yard line, and that's going to give the Trojans another big 3rd down play here, 3rd and about 8.
Let's see if they get the quarterback out in the perimeter.
And the quarterback this time, Preston Curtis, is going to be swarmed by a host of Admiral tacklers. Leading the charge for the Admirals, the nose man, John Evans. And that'll put the Trojans in a punting situation for the first time tonight.
It looks like the quarterback, Preston Curtis, wanted to take a little pop pass or throwback to the tight end. But by the time he looked to the throwback to the tight end, Johnny Evans had already taken care of it.
Sean Waltz punting for the Trojans, and the ball picked up and landed on by David Hands, and the Admirals will take over. 1st and 10 from their own 49-yard line, just inside the mid-stripe.
Both teams have better watch on their punt return people, that when that ball touches the ground, you don't want to be anywhere near it, because if it grazes a part of your jersey and somebody picks it up, this is right now a game of field position. You don't want to lose it when you're expecting to have it.
And the Admirals do have, in fact, good field position at this point. See if they can take advantage of it. From the shotgun, Matt Rossitano. And the give on a draw play to the Admirals, Alan Penny. No gain on the play. J.R. Williams, a 276-pound defensive tackle, a senior, making the stop. In fact, a loss of maybe about a yard on the play.
Admiral King shows their 5 wides. 4 at the top, David Hands down at the bottom. Puts the inside slot in motion, Alan Penny. He, in fact, becomes the draw man. But I'm going to tell you right now, Canton Timken is quick defensively. They snuffed out the draw.
And a flag on the play, right at the line of scrimmage.
I would say this is not good. Somebody lined up in the neutral zone because they had barely touched that ball and they threw the flag.
Well, the flag came from the official in the defensive sector.
And one of the Timken kids is clapping. Is that something that's not good for Admiral King?
Well, we were at one game where we saw the quarterback for one of the teams, either King or Southview, clapping, and the penalty went against.
Yeah, and they picked it up. They waved it off, whatever that was about.
I think it's an equipment situation because the Admirals have one of their players.
It's nice to see an official.
In fact, Jake Harder.
It's nice to see an official pick up a flag when he thinks he's wrong.
Well, maybe he just wanted to stop action long enough to get that taken care of. A loose ball, and I do believe the Admirals may have recovered, but another loss on the play. Bill Friend, a 291-pound tackle.
I'm going to be cute. Bill Friend was not a friend of Matt Rostana's.
No, not at all.
It was a snap that never got connected between the center and Matt. And to Matt Rossitano's reactions, good reactions, he got to the ball before Bill Friend did.
Well, on 2 plays, the Admirals have gone back about 2 yards. It's 3rd down and 12. Again from the shotgun. James Williams in motion. And the pass play down the sideline, just off the outstretched hands of David Hands, which will give the Admirals a 4th down situation. Covering on the play for the Trojans, Stan Broyles.
I'm going to tell you what, just because I know who some of these coaches are up here at Canton Timken. One coach has been named Garland Rivers, who was a defensive back for the University of Michigan. And this Stanley Boyles had perfect coverage, inside relationship on David Hands. It was a stop and go pattern. Great job by the secondary of Canton Timken.
And the snap from center way over the head of Jordan Buck, who runs back and just covers the ball back on about the 22-yard line. And that's where Canton Timken will take over, 1st and 10 from the Admirals 22. And now they truly have excellent field position.
Ronnie, when you played high school football, did you ever punt snap in high school?
One of the positions I played was center for 4th downs for snapping the ball.
Okay, there's 2 theories, and I'll get back to it after this play, but there's 2 theories on how to snap a ball from the punt snapper to the punter.
Preston Curtis, the quarterback. And the give this time is to Mendez Davis.
Mendez Davis, the ball carrier. Brought down by
Davis gets the ball inside the 20-yard line, a pickup of about 5 yards on the play. It's 2nd down and 5. Making the stop for the Admirals, Jake Baxter.
Timken is showing a lot of different offensive formations. On this one, it was the wing T look. Tight end wing at the bottom of the screen, fullback and halfback, and at the top of the screen, the split end. They just did the power sweep with the left halfback, picked up nice yardage, 5 yards and 1st down.
2nd down and 5. And it's Curtis with the ball. The quarterback gets the 1st down and may have just missed the goal line by about a yard as he was knocked out of bounds in the very far corner. And that should, seeing no flags on the field, give the Trojans a 1st and goal.
We've talked about this before. There are teams that come in and run series. So you had the wing T look, split backs, tight end wing at the bottom, split end top of the screen. The quarterback in the first play faked the bootleg keep. This time he kept it off the buck sweep, and they're inside the 5-yard line going in for a score.
In fact, they're on the 1-yard line, and they've got 4 chances to pump it in, and it goes to the big fullback, Ricky Taylor, 264 pounds of humanity.
And we heard the pop up here.
Yes, we did.
So on that 6'5" goal line of Admiral King, you would assume that they're just going to assume that this 264-pound fullback is going to barrel in there, and they met him, and looks like he might even lost a little bit.
Well, there certainly doesn't appear to be any gain on that particular play, so it remains 2nd and goal, the ball on about the 1-yard line.
If Admiral King's going to be so tough inside, let's see if they take the ball on the perimeter.
And again, this time the give is to Ricky Taylor, and he bulls his way in, standing up.
And
Touchdown.
Ricky Taylor says, "Coach, I'm sorry. Let's do it again."
Give me another chance.
At 264, I want to get back to the punt snapping. The 2 theories is sometimes you can have a punt snapper where you pick the ball off the ground, and you deliver a parallel snap to the punter. This one looked like it was one that was kind of shoveled back, and that's the other theory. The bad thing is sometimes the shovel can be too high and go over the punter's head.
Curtis holding, Sean Waltz kicking the extra point, and it is good. 39 seconds remaining in the first quarter play. The Canton Timken Trojans go on top 7-0. Ball's kicking off for the Trojans. Taken by the Admirals back on about their own 20-yard line. And it's Mr. Blakely on the return for the Admirals. The Admirals now with a 1st and 10 on about their own 30-yard line, just over the 30, make it the 31. Kind of interesting to note that Admiral King coach Tom Steiner once upon a time did his student teaching and was a coach's helper at Canton Timken, and that was back when Mike Hedrick was still the coach there, and he is today. So there are some ties between the Admirals' Tom Steiner and Canton Timken.
Okay, Admiral King opens up and run and shoot. We've said this before. 2 slots, 2 receivers. They motion the bottom slot to trips to the top of the screen, and they open up with the fullback, Alan Penny. And what they like to do is they like to wedge block. They're a wedge blocking team. So you see everybody at the guard or the center at the point of attack, and that fullback's going to sneak right into the wedge. And I'll tell you, sometimes those things can pop because you lose the runner in wedge blocking.
Penny on a 3-yard gain on the first play. It's 2nd down and 7 now. Ball on the 34. In motion is Williams. Rossitano looking to pass, and he's going to be brought down in his own backfield. Tackle made by Eric Stovall.
Okay, we've got the run and shoot look. Same thing as the way it started the previous play. The left halfback, James Williams, goes in deep motion, and Matt faked to him and wanted to go bootleg to the bottom of the screen, and they wanted to put one-on-one with David Hands. But I'm going to tell you, this secondary, the guy that's covering David Hands is in a very, seems to have great foot speed, and he's staying with David because David's got good foot speed.
Loss of 5 yards on the play. It's 3rd down and 12. From the shotgun, Williams in motion. And a whistle. And we're going to have some movement in the line. 1 minute, 6 seconds remaining in the first quarter of play. 7-0, Canton Timken over the Admirals. You had mentioned earlier, John, about Garland Rivers, one of the assistant coaches for Canton Timken. Not only did he play defensive back for the University of Michigan, but he was also an All-American, 2nd-round draft choice by the Detroit Lions. Went on to play for the Buffalo Bills and one other pro team, and ironically, the coaches in all 3 situations were from the Canton area.
Well, I'll tell you what, when you get a professional football player.
Rossitano looking to pass and connects. The receiver on that play,
Jake Baxter.
Jake Baxter on the far side.
Mr.
Stovall
right,
making the stop.
I'll tell you, Matt, and we'll get back to Garland Rivers in a minute, but Matt run and shoot, motion to the bottom of the screen down here, and Matt was flushed. And we've seen Matt in the first ball game of the year get flushed and complete a tremendous pass downfield. He was fortunate enough to be able to dump it off to Jake Baxter.
Not enough, though, for the first down,
right,
as the Admirals have a 4th and about 6. Jordan Buck in a great snap from center this time around. And we're going to have roughing the kicker as 4 Trojans charged the punter, in this case Jordan Buck. He was knocked to the ground, and that should give the Admirals a 1st down, and that's the call, roughing the punter in this case.
And Jordan should also go to Hollywood and get a little bit of acting there, but, well, rightfully so.
He's got a great coach,
sure,
acting coach.
Yeah, he's been acting for a couple years. Okay.
Yes.
But I'll tell you what, you know why Timken's doing what they're doing. They just had a ball sail over Jordan's head the previous time, so they're going for the block. But what you have to coach those kids to do is to go one step in front of where the punter is going to step. You never go where he was, where he will be. So the Admirals will get the ball back, but going back to Garland Rivers, you get somebody who's played up north, is what he would say, Woody Hayes would say, and played in the University of Michigan and then played professionally, and then is able to come back at the high school level in the Canton area, and you said he was a Canton product. Can you imagine the talent and the technique that he's able to pass on to these high school kids?
Absolutely, and his professional career dates back into the late 80s, mid to late 80s, so he's been around coaching here at Canton Timken for a while. The Admirals on the 1st and 10, just inside the 50-yard line, and a great breakaway to the 40-yard line by by the Admirals, Jake Baxter. Stop made by Mendez Davis for the Trojans. And that's going to put the ball on the 40-yard line, and they're going to be about a foot away from a first down on the second down coming up.
The thing about the run and shoot, or the wide open style that the Admirals play with the single back, is that you tend to get caught up with what they want to do with passing. And in this case, Jake Baxter, very nice runner inside, popped it.
Okay, that's the end of the first quarter of play. Again, Canton Timken 7, the Admiral King Admirals nothing, and an opportunity for me to remind you about the Palace Civic Center, 6th and Broadway in Lorain. If you're watching this game on Saturday, October 16th, or Sunday, October 17th, you still have a chance to get to the Palace to see the movie The Muppets. A great opportunity to take the youngsters because the movie is rated G. The admission for adults and children just $1.50, and of course it's going to be shown on the biggest screen in Lorain County with the absolute positive best sound system. You owe it to yourself to take the kids to see The Muppets Saturday and Sunday, the 16th and 17th. Looking ahead to Saturday the 23rd, it's the Sweet Adeline's concert if you're into barbershop quartet singing at 7:30 p.m. Palace Civic Center. On Sunday the 24th, it's Ken Demko on the Mighty Wurlitzer concert. That gets underway at 3 p.m. Palace Civic Center, 6th and Broadway, downtown Lorain. The Admirals now heading south as they start second and about a foot for a first down from the Trojans 40, and they've got that first down and then some.
You know, last year, Ron, Jake Baxter...
Just real quick, Jake Baxter on the carry again, gets the ball up to the 36-yard line.
Jake Baxter was by the end of the season last year, was the Admiral starting fullback. And Alan Penny's a fine runner also, but I know from watching Jake on this play, picking up the first down off the dive in the previous play, he's got some stubbornness in him, and he makes those kind of runs, which I'm sure is what the Admirals are looking for him to do.
Jake is a 200-pound senior. Whoa. Jason Williams, the ball carrier for the Admirals, brought down by Mike Moses, a 212-pound senior defensive left end, and Mendez Davis, a 177-pound senior. And this is what I need to ask you. Defensively, the coach for the Trojans, Mike Hedrick, has the linebackers listed as Sam, Mike, and Will, and I need you to comment on that. In the meantime, we've got an injured player on the field.
Okay.
Jake Harder, the offensive right guard, a 242-pound senior, needed a bit of help coming off the field. Rossitano, and he's going nowhere on that second down and 9 play. Tackle made by J.R. Williams.
Okay, a couple things here, Ron. I'll answer your question second. Jake Carter got hurt, and he's been the mainstay, one of the mainstays of this offensive line. But real quickly, Sam linebacker, Mike linebacker, and Will. Mike means middle. Sam means that he always lines up to the strength of formation, and Will lines up weak. Here's my question to you. What happens if there's no strong side? We'll get back to that.
Rossitano to pass. Up the middle, and a beautiful catch by David Hands. Unbelievable. Stan Broyles made the saving tackle, or else we would have had an Admiral King touchdown without a doubt. The Admirals have the ball on the Trojans' 17-yard line, 1st and 10.
Now, you're going to see a nice developing battle here all the time. Matt rolled a little bit to the top of the screen. David ran a quick post. Any other team, David's got 6. This Broyles kid is able to match. He's playing man coverage. So you've got a nice little battle here between Broyles and David Hance.
Rossitano hands the ball off, and it is to Jake Baxter. Baxter gets up close to the 10-yard line.
And if he hadn't have run into one of the offensive linemen, or somebody else, looks like Johnny Evans is hurt, I am telling you that Jake Baxter would have walked into the end zone. But he ran into one of his players. So this is the second lineman, because Jake is still here. Harder is still on the sideline. Johnny Evans is down. But Jake Baxter's that type of runner. He wouldn't go down. And just one more thing, Ron, on this Hands with number 16 Broyles matchup. What Canton Timken is doing is playing man defense. So it's David Hands against Stanley Broyles. And that was a great tackle by David Hance. Or by
the second down play, Johnny Evans, as you indicated, John, is the injured Admiral, and he had to be helped off the field, and it looks like it may be a knee problem, and boy, that's a sad situation. Williams, the ball carrier for the Admirals. Mendez Davis making the tackle. It'll be third down and about 4 yards to gain. No gain on the play. 3rd and 4.
Admiral King has got the run and shoot look. They're giving a second handoff to James Williams, and my only thinking is I don't know, especially with 2 linemen out for Admiral King, if they can afford to go to a second handoff as opposed to the quick hitters with Jake Baxter.
Now Jake Harder, who was the first lineman to come off, he seems to be a little bit better as he's standing there observing the ball game from the sideline.
But he's not in there.
He's not in at this point in time. And a pass into the end zone, touchdown! What a beautiful play! It's Rossitano to his favorite receiver, David Hands, and the Admirals go on the board with 6 points.
I'll tell you, these two have a chemistry when it comes to Matt throwing the ball and David Hands catching the ball. It was one-on-one. I told you that Timken plays man coverage against number 16 Broyles. David Hands did a little dipsy doodle, which he tucked in, spun himself around. I think the ball was thrown on the wrong side of David. David adjusted to the ball and just made an acrobatic catch.
It'll be Jordan Buck on the extra point attempt. Matt Rossitano will be holding. Ball is down in the air, and it is good. And the Admirals, with 9 minutes and 24 seconds remaining in the second quarter of play, have tied this ball game at 7-7. All right, Jordan Buck will be kicking off now for the Admirals, and our PA announcer here, Jim Allen Popiel, indicating that some records have been broken in that touchdown pass play. And the ball picked up at the 10-yard line by the Trojans. Anthony Ruffin.
Number 16 returns the kickoff.
And the tackle made by the Admirals, William Gordon. That'll give the Trojans a 1st and 10 on their own 32-yard line.
Matt Rossitano having broken the one kid I know is Rich Ducar, who quarterbacked for us in the mid-'80s. And so Matt's in some nice company breaking that record with 11 touchdowns.
The pitch is to Acoria Stovall for the Trojans.
Acoria Stovall, stopped initially by John Gall of the Admirals.
John Gall making the initial stop for the Admirals. A pickup of about 6 yards on the play. It's 2nd down and 4. The ball on the 38-yard line. Coming into this ball game tonight, Matt Rossitano has 81 completions for 149 attempts. That's a 54% average. 981 yards passing through the air by Rossitano. That's coming into tonight's ball game. And a pass to the near side from Curtis to the receiver, Eric Stovall. And good enough for a 1st down, covering for the Admirals, Jake Baxter.
On the previous play, they had a quick pitch Canton Timken did with split backs, and the Admiral King defensive left side loss contained. On this play, it was a simple, the quarterback, not even 1.5 steps, threw down here to the bottom of the screen a quick hitch, and it was a nice play because it netted Canton Timken a 1st down.
Curtis hands off to the first man through, his fullback, Ricky Taylor. Taylor gets the ball up close to the mid-stripe. Well, they're going to spot it on their own 49-yard line. It's a pickup of about a yard, 2nd down and 9. Jesus Sanchez making the tackle. We talked about Matt Rossitano in the passing department. His favorite receiver, David Hands, coming into tonight's ball game, had 22 catches for 372 yards and a 16.9 average.
David is definitely the go-to guy this year when it comes to passing the ball.
What a pair of hands on David Hands.
Boy, I like that. You've been practicing that one?
Yeah. And we have a flag.
Well, what has bit Admiral King has now bit Canton Timken. Delay of game.
Delay of game again. This is the second delay of game penalty against the Trojans. The Admirals having just the one. Takes the ball back to inside the 45-yard line. It'll be second down and about 14.
You know, something you don't think about when you're watching football if you're just the average viewer. Sometimes these plays are run in by messenger kids, and if they take a long time getting to the huddle, and then there's a little bit of easiness getting up the line, that's what gives you these delay games.
Curtis back to pass, and we have a flag down. And Curtis is not going to get that ball away, and he's having trouble even getting knocked to the ground by the Admirals as he was swarmed over. In on the stop for the Admirals, we have a couple of players, one of them being Jake Baxter. The other one, and I believe this is one of the new entries for the Admirals, Tim Blakely.
And I'll tell you
came in from Tennessee, a 205-pound sophomore.
And I'm going to tell you how nice of a job this Tim Blakely did at the defensive end. It was a bootleg by the quarterback, Preston Curtis, and the defensive end came flush down the line of scrimmage to the Admiral King sideline, and he did not allow the quarterback to get beyond him. He lost his tackle. The Admirals came up and helped him, but I'll tell you what, that is an athletic move by that defensive right end for Admiral King. Tim Blakely, I guess they're real happy with him. He's got a little bit of size, 205 pounds.
Well, despite the fact that Curtis didn't go anywhere, the penalty against the Trojans takes the ball all the way back to about the 34-yard line. Big yardage now on this second down play. Curtis looking to pass and lets it go. Almost intercepted by the Admirals' John Gall.
And there's a flag because I'll take a guess at it. I think the bootleg quarterback off the play action went past the line of scrimmage.
Absolutely, and that's the indication from the head official. The quarterback, Curtis, had gone beyond the line of scrimmage when he let that ball go, so that's furthermore a loss of down.
Sure, and you know what the bad decision, and football, basketball, any other sports, it's about decisions, is that he had, the Preston Curtis had broken contain. Shoulders were square. He had plenty of running room. And if in doubt, I'm sure their quarterback coach is saying, hey, in doubt, just run the ball. Yeah. You know, it's run pass option, but the kids want to make something happen so bad that they forget where they're at. He should have kept the ball. He should never have thrown that one because he didn't know where he was at.
And as we indicated, the penalty does include loss of down, so the Trojans are now way back on their own 19-yard line with a third down situation and about 38 yards to go for a first down. And they did absolutely nothing in that situation. The ball carrier, Calvin Hope, was hoping to get somewhere and obviously did not. So now a big fourth down situation as the Trojans no doubt will be punting.
You know what? You see enough of it on TV. There is no play for third and 31, 41, and it's just as easily to call a safe one and not do anything crazy.
And we have an injured Admiral on the field. Gordon, the injured Admiral, and just like with Johnny Evans, he is being helped off the field. He's not even able to walk off on his own power. Wow, that's the third lineman in this ball game tonight.
And how many hits can the Admirals take on the defensive and offensive line?
Great punt by Sean Waltz, taken on the Admirals 45 by David Hands, and he's going to get the ball inside Trojan territory, up close to the 45, where the Admirals will take over first and 10. Tackle made by Stan Broyles.
And who else is going to tackle Mr. Hands but Mr. Broyles?
One-on-one. There you go.
One-on-one all night. You know, getting back, the victory that Admiral King had last week with Vermillion, these kids now believe in themselves, and not that they didn't before, but they got this win under their belt. They've lost Jake Harder, they've lost William Gordon, they've lost Johnny Evans, and now let's see what they do with the ball on Canton Timken's 46-yard line.
First and 10. Ross Otano now taking the snap under center. And a handoff to Alan Penny. Penny goes absolutely nowhere. Calvin Hope making the stop on Penny. In fact, a loss of maybe a couple of feet on the play will make it 2nd down and a short 11.
Now, I told you that Admiral King runs 5 wides. This time they ran 4 wides, which was 3 receivers at the bottom of the screen, 1 receiver, David Hands at the top, and Alan Penny was the fullback. Jake Baxter didn't run the ball that time. That was Alan Penny for no yardage.
Gall in motion. And Rossitano attempting to pass, make that Jeff Tillman was in motion, and Eric Stovall chasing Rossitano all the way back to the Admirals' 37-yard line.
We know that Matt Rossitano is a very quick football player, and I'm going to tell you, Eric Stovall came up from the top of the screen as one of the linebackers because Timken's playing man, and their athletes have got to be good cover people because it's your man against my man. Matt had no chance. He was snuffed out there.
Loss of 16 yards on that play. It's 3rd down and a lot of yardage. Rossitano passing, and the pass wobbling.
And tipped.
Tipped.
Yes.
And Jeff Tillman, the intended receiver, incomplete. It'll be 4th down.
And not a bad idea. You can't go to David Hands on every play, so what they wanted to do, all the Admiral Kings and the 4 wideouts were at the top of the screen. Jeff Tillman was also the top. That ball was tipped, and Jeff Tillman came in for it. But they were going to the single receiver, and it might have been David Hands now at the bottom of the screen. The more I think about it.
Trojans' lone deep receiver is Eric Stovall. Jordan Buck will be doing the punting. And charging in to attempt to block that pass, one of the Trojans. The ball will roll dead and touched by the Admirals, and it will be Canton Timken's ball on their own 34-yard line, 1st and 10.
And if you notice, this time Timken did not rush 6, 7, or 8 people, and the one guy who did at the top of the screen did it correctly and came in front of Jordan's right foot, and that's what you got to do if you're going to go for a ball and a block.
Preston Curtis, the quarterback for the Trojans. Trojans 4-3 on the season, 4 wins, 3 losses. The give, well, Curtis holding the ball, and there is a flag. If it's not against the Admirals, it'll be a loss on that play.
You know what? The 264-pound Rick Taylor was supposed to get the ball. The quarterback, Preston Curtis, pivoted, and he couldn't get the ball to the big fullback. He ended up taking it himself, and we've got holding, looks like. And
a face mask against the Admirals, so that will nullify the 2 penalties, but there will be the loss of about a yard or so on that play.
They'll just live with the play. Can you imagine reverse pivoting as a quarterback and not being able to get it to the fullback, but he's 264 pounds? That's what happened.
Canton Timken began their season with a shutout against Akron North, 12-0 in their second game, beating Youngstown Rayen 21-20. And Youngstown Rayen, by the way, will be here at George Daniel Stadium next week Friday to take on the Southview Saints in a game that you will see right here on TV 20. The third game was a 14-6 win over Akron East, and then the Trojans lost their next 3 games. We'll talk about that in a moment. Curtis passing to the far side, in and out, well, beyond the grasp, let me put it to you that way, of his intended receiver, Keenan Hughes. And that'll be 2nd down and 10. In that 4th game of the season, they lost to Tuskegee Valley 20-13, were shut out by Tuslaw 22-0, and Tuslaw, by the way, tonight is playing Manchester. That should be quite a game down there in the Stark County area. Canton Central Catholic then defeated Timken 18-12, and last week Timken shut out New Philadelphia 26-0. On the 3rd down play, the give to Mendez Davis, one of the tailbacks. Pickup of about 5 yards on the play. It'll be 3rd down and 5. And it was kind of interesting when Coach Mike Hedrick gave us the teams and the scores. he indicated that Canton Timken won 4 and then just ran out of time on 3 of them. That's a fancy way of saying we lost, but we really ran out of time, and maybe if we had more time, we could have won.
Well, you know what he's saying. Sometimes the guy who has the ball last wins, and he didn't have it last, so he can't win.
All right, the Trojans now faced with a 4th down situation. Jake Baxter making a big stop for the Admirals. And with the 4th down and about 2, it will be Sean Waltz doing the punting. He'll be punting from about his... Oh, and a mix-up play. That snap from center, instead of going to Sean Waltz, went to Acoria Stovall. Stovall passed the ball and gave the Trojans a 1st down.
I have never seen on the special... Okay, Timken's lining up the punt. They snap it to the up fullback. Okay, he's going to run the ball off tackle. He ran the ball off tackle, took 2 steps, and threw it to the tight end. I have never seen that done. And then you know what? Admiral King had great coverage. It's just that the tight end was stronger than the Admiral King receiver.
Tight end Mike Moses.
Oh, man.
Picked up the 1st down. Snappy play.
Oh, that was snappy.
It worked. Pass to the near side, grabbed by Claudius Hosenbachas.
Could you repeat that name again?
Hosenbachas.
Okay.
I mean, we practiced that for about 10 minutes before we went on the air tonight. Hosenbachas.
Now, with that pronunciation, what origin of language is that from in the world?
Well, if I had to make a guess from his first name, Claudius, I'd say it was somewhat Latin.
Okay. But you knew that ahead
almost
of time.
Almost Caesar-like. Second down, a pickup of 7 yards on the play, 2nd down and 3. Curtis to pass again, looking for a receiver, lets it go, and almost intercepted by the Admirals' John Gall.
And I'm going to tell you who did a great job. Now, Timken has gotten Preston Curtis out on the either bootleg keep or bootleg a lot of times. Jason Williams, I believe, was the defensive left end. And what you do when you are, because Mr. Gordon is still down here in the sidelines, so they've had to readjust some of their people. Somebody at the defensive left end, I believe it was Jason Williams, prevented Preston Curtis from getting to the top of the screen. He had to pull up short, shuffled his feet, and he threw the ball short. Great job.
On the 3rd down, the give is to the Trojans, Mendez Davis, and he's not going to go anywhere. Tackle made by Baxter and Penny.
And you know what? Maybe it wasn't Jason Williams the previous play. It might have been Alan Penny, the defensive left end. If that was Alan Penny, he just stopped a bootleg on the previous play by making the quarterback pull up, and he just tackled the quick pitch tailback.
And we have a timeout on the field, and time in now for our good friends at First.
Since 1921, your hometown financial professionals at First Federal Savings of Lorain have dedicated themselves to meeting the financial needs of their customers and surrounding communities. They offer a wide variety of financial investments as well as home mortgages to meet your every need. Loans on cars, boats, mobile homes, and other worthwhile purchases are also available. Whatever your financial need, First Federal Savings of Lorain is ready to help. 6 convenient locations to serve you in Lorain, Huron, Sandusky, and Port Clinton, with a 7th office opening soon in Avon. First Federal Savings of Lorain is an equal housing lender and FDIC insured.
All right, on the 4th down play, the Trojans going for it again, and they just might have made it. Mendez Davis, the ball carrier.
Timken just showed a new formation. They showed the I with the big fullback at fullback and the tailback Mendez Davis. They had the flanker at the top of the screen in motion running the crack, and they ran a sweep to the sidelines, and he got that. The Davis runner got it by jumping right at the end.
All right, 1st and 10 for the Trojans with less than a minute remaining here in the first half.
And there's clock management now because you've got 51 seconds left. Let's see how they manage the clock.
And the ball on the 43-yard line, so they've got 43 yards to go for a touchdown if they plan to break this 7-7 tie. Curtis to pass. Up the middle, the intended receiver, Hosenmagas.
And David Hands did the breakup.
David Hands breaking that play up. It's going to be 2nd down and 10. The clock stopped with 34 seconds remaining.
The David Hands is the free safety, and they had somebody come in his area. It was a pro look, pro split backs, motioned by the top receiver, the top of the screen down, and this two receiver look. The inside receiver came into David Hands' territory, and as a good center fielder, he broke up the play with a chance for an interception.
2nd down and 10. It's Curtis back to pass, and he is going to be wrestled right to the ground. Initially stopped by Alan Penny, and then with a little bit of help from his friends, Penny's friends that is, the big loss, and the Trojans call timeout with 22 seconds remaining in this first half. The ball back on the 49-yard line. On a 3rd down and 18 yards from their own 49-yard line. Curtis to pass again, comes over to the near side here and gives it to Eric Stovall. Stovall is going to be brought down by the Admirals. Chris Miller. Chris Miller making the tackle.
Miller made the stop. How many cornerbacks do you see with the number 63? Chris has started the year as a linebacker and as a wideout, but due to injuries and whatnot, he plays center. We'll get back to his story in a minute.
All right, the Trojans had called timeout with 11 seconds remaining in the first half. On the 4th down, this is their last chance to at least get a first down, and it's not going to happen as Acoria Stovall with the ball is brought down by John Gall.
And there's somebody else too, Ron. John Gall, and he was the initial. We couldn't get the second hitter.
Jeff Tillman also in on that stop.
Oh, Jeff Tillman. Getting back to Chris Miller, and that was a great stop. It gives the Admirals the ball. Chris is playing center after starting the offensive side of the ball as a wide receiver. So how many receivers go play center? And then he's got a 63 number playing corner. He's definitely doing it for the team.
An all-around athlete on this gridiron, and with 4 seconds remaining, Rossitano puts the knee to the ground, and that's the end of the first half of play with the score tied. The Admiral King Admirals 7, the Canton Timken Trojans 7. And we'll be back with the start of the second half right after this timeout for Impressions.
Your one-stop place for something really special is Impressions, corner of Oberlin Avenue and Tower Boulevard. T-shirts and sweatshirts personally designed to your specific needs. Anything from bears, trains to zebras, and specially designed hats as well. And don't forget Impressions, your one-stop spot for school jackets. See Dave, the designer expert at Impressions, Oberlin Avenue at Tower Boulevard, right here in Lorain.
hope you enjoyed the performance by the Lorain Admiral King High School Marching Band under the direction of Tom Tucker. We had an opportunity to let you see a selection performed by them during halftime for the simple fact that we had a shorter than usual first half. And now we're into the second half with the Admirals with one, and all of a sudden we've got David Hands, and he is finally brought down by Dorian Tate, a 5'11", 160-pound freshman between the goal line and David Hands with a touchdown. What a wonderful run back that was on the kickoff.
What have we told you as a team comes down for contain? They can't lose it, and you lose contain when you don't break down. The left contain man on the kickoff team for Canton Timken ran right by David when he thought he had him after the ball was down. And I'm telling you, it's a little drill, but kids forget about it, and when they forget about it, big plays like David's happen.
And Keenan Hughes shaken up on that play for the Trojans. We wanted to add, too, about the Lorain Admiral King High School Marching Band that they are wearing their brand new uniforms for the very first time. You have seen it here on TV 20, but they also had a chance to show the entire greater Cleveland area in their outstanding performance on Channel 8. Fox Television this morning, they performed outside the studios of Fox 8. Well, you're watching the action there as the Admirals' Jeff Tillman attempted to gain some running room, but instead a loss on the first down play and a loss back to about the 31-yard line, a loss of 5. It's going to be second down and 15, and we just want to add on that the performance by the marching band at Channel 8 this morning was outstanding, and I especially appreciate the fact I believe they gave our band much more time than they have given other bands because they performed a couple of selections, including Anchors Away. On the pass play, batted down by the Trojans. That'll make it a third down and 15 for the Admirals. Ball on the 31-yard line. John Gall bringing in the play from the bench. Big play for the Admirals here from the shotgun. Rossitano looking to pass, looking for that receiver, and in and out of the hands of his intended receiver, Jake Baxter, covering for the Trojans, Mendez Davis. That'll give the Admirals a 4th and 15, and no doubt they'll attempt to go on this particular play. What do you think, John?
On this play, they had with their 5 wides, nobody in the backfield. And at the last minute, Mendez Davis, who also doubles as one of the running backs, put his hand out in front of Jake Baxter, and great play. So now this is a critical 4th down play.
Of course, that wasn't my question, but that's okay.
No, all right.
On the 4th down, Rossitano going back on the screen and incomplete.
We've mentioned this before.
Jake Baxter, the intended receiver. The ball will go over to the Trojans.
Canton Timken's speed, because on a screen you would think that there would be time to throw somebody upfield, but they get on Matt so quickly, and he had to drop back so far that he had no time. Plus there was coverage. That ball would have been tackled immediately.
Well, on that outstanding effort by the run back of David Hands, goes for naught for the Admirals as the Trojans now take over. The ball carrier, Mendez Davis, gets the ball across the 35-yard line. Tackle made by Jake Harder.
Well, Timken opens up with their big man, and that's Rick Taylor. And I'm going to tell you what, strategically, if Canton Timken ever had an option off of that big kid with the getting the ball.
Actually, John, it was Mendez Davis.
Was that Mendez?
Yeah,
okay.
177-pound senior.
Well, notwithstanding, whoever's running that ball, if the quarterback just kept that and then did a dive option right after that, it would be a devastating play because everybody's sucking in on the running backs.
On the 2nd down and 5, the Trojans want to talk about it, and they call a timeout and a time in for me at this point in time to remind you for the last time about the showing of the Muppets on Saturday the 16th of October and Sunday the 17th of October. Moms, dads, grandmas, and grandpas, it's an opportunity for you to take the little ones to the Palace Civic Center to see the Muppets. Then looking ahead to November, the first weekend in November, on Friday the 5th, Saturday the 6th, and Sunday the 7th, the Palace will be showing the Wild Wild West, a PG-13 on the largest screen in Lorain County with the best sound system. The admission for all movies, just $1.50. Palace Civic Center, 6th and Broadway, downtown Lorain. On the 2nd down and 5, Curtis hands off again to Mendez Davis. Davis across the 40, the 45, and out of bounds at about the 49-yard line. John Gall chasing him out of bounds.
Okay, Ron, on this play, Canton Timken shows everything tight. They had double tackles at the bottom of the screen, tight end and wing back at the top of the screen with split backs. They showed a second handoff. They ran the ball left, came back to us with the wing back. Everything was well defensed, but the Admirals had 2 missed tackles and then left it up to John Call to do it. Nice call.
As the wind kicks up here at George Daniel Stadium. And the give this time is to the big man, Ricky Taylor. The 264-pound senior gets up to about the mid-stripe. A gain of a couple of yards on the play, making the tackle for the Admirals, Jason Williams.
This time they had a lead. Rick Taylor was the running back, and they had the other running back leading up for him. And Jason Williams came down the line and made a nice play.
Gain of 2, 2nd down and 8. We're in the early moments of the 3rd quarter here at George Daniel Stadium, and the score is all knotted up at 7 each. The give to Mendez Davis, and he is hit by a host of Admiral tacklers led by Jake Harder. Gets the ball just over the 50-yard line into Admiral King territory. It'll be 3rd down and a long 7.
I'll tell you what, credit to the Admirals coaching staff and to the kids themselves for Admiral King. Earlier in the year, I think they were a little bit soft in the middle, and you could trap them and you could run inside on them. And this team from Canton has tried to do that all night, and I don't think with much success. They should be looking to run perimeter-wise when they run.
On the big 3rd down play, Curtis back to pass, looking for a receiver. He's being chased over to the far side, gets across the mid-stripe, the 45, the 40, picks up the 1st down on his own, and gets the ball up to the Admirals' 30-yard line before he is finally brought down.
What did we say before? Remember when the quarterback in the first half from Timken threw beyond the line of scrimmage and they had a loss of down? Well, this time you can hear the Timken coaches to our right saying, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. And I told you about perimeter plays. Well, they're not going to give it to the running backs perimeter-wise, so the quarterback keep the ball, and they did some damage.
Ball spotted on the 31, 1st and 10 for the Trojans. And the give is to Mendez Davis. Davis gets the ball across the 30 before being met hard by Jake Harder.
Okay, there are people up here saying that there's other coaching staffs on here. And like I've said before, Timken's running unbalanced. They have their 2 tackles at the top of the screen, tight end and wing, and they're running behind those big tackles. But Jake Harder's back in the ball game, and to his credit, here's a kid who was hurt the first half. He's back in there making a solo tackle.
Gain of 2 yards, 2nd down and 8. The ball on the 29-yard line. The give again to Mendez Davis. Davis gets the ball up close to the 25-yard line. Tackle made by John Gall.
Well, Admiral King runs this play. It's a second handoff. They faked to the fullback and gave it to the second running back. And, you know, it hasn't been good for King, and that play wasn't any good for Canton Timken. So critical play here, 3rd and about 6.
Gain of about 3 yards on the play. The ball is on the Admirals' 26-yard line. Coach Hedrick, before the game started, said that his team was at a disadvantage tonight and a delay of game penalty against the Trojans. This is the third one for them tonight, and that's going to bring the ball back to about the 32-yard line, and that will make the Trojans now with a 3rd and 10 situation. And that's kind of devastating. But we were saying that Coach Hedrick indicated that 2 of his major starters are not dressed tonight because of injuries. Lamar Campbell and Brian Robinson, a running back and a lineman. Curtis to pass, coming over to the near side, and in and out of the hands of his intended receiver, Korea Stovall. Covering on the play, Jeff Tillman for the Admirals.
Okay, we had a pro look, 2 receivers down here at the bottom of the screen, split on the top of the screen, split backs. Quarterback came out and rolled down to us. Jeff Tillman made a play in the ball. Fortunately for him, because he didn't make a play in the ball, the receiver must have been bothered by that, and he dropped the ball. Otherwise, that's a reception, inside the 20.
And we have a 4th and 10 now for the Trojans. They'll be going for it.
I disagree with this call.
And another delay of game penalty against the Trojans, their 4th one. That'll bring the ball back another 5 yards.
Well, I'll tell you what, this might be a blessing in disguise for Timken. I think they should be punting the ball. But pin back Admiral King and make them go the 80 or 90 yards. I can't, maybe they're going to come out here with a run play right now. But I don't know why Timken is so slow in their play calling. It's just, you've got to speed up the messengers or whatever.
4th and 15 from the Admirals' 36-yard line, and they're going for it.
Oh, man, I disagree again, Ron.
Curtis to pass, looking for a receiver, throws up the field, and the intended receiver, no good, no flag. The Admirals will take over, 1st and 10. The intended receiver, Eric Stovall.
That ball went through number 11's hands, and it almost picked up on the second receiver. That would have been a play that I don't think anybody would have called for the Admirals.
For the game ball as well as for the 50-50 raffles. Get the tickets ready.
I think strategically, if they had punted the ball, put him inside the 5, Admiral King would be in a lot worse strait. You play field position and...
Well, a break for the Admirals, no doubt about that, as they now take over the ball, 1st and 10 from their own 36-yard line. 6 minutes and 45 seconds remaining here in the 3rd quarter of play. The score all knotted up, 7-7. We've got some charging on the defensive line and some flags, and that may go against the Trojans. We'll see if there was any movement. The Admirals are clapping, so... or applauding, whichever.
That's been our cue.
Yes.
Been our cue all year.
5 yards marched off against the Trojans for the Admirals. Now they have a 1st and 5.
One of the
ball on their own 41.
One of the linebackers wanted to make a blitz, and I think he just got too excited. Just either Ron or either Matt just pulled him to the counter. He couldn't hold back.
Rossitano taking the snap under center. In motion, Williams. And the give is to Williams. Williams is going nowhere. He gets up to about just over the 40-yard line. Korea Stovall making the stop for the Trojans. It'll be 2nd down and 5.
I think the mood of Canton Timken is they're trying to force the action with one of these 3 linebackers. Timken's got a 5-man defensive line front, and they line up in a 5-3, and they're sending linebackers on the Admirals offense on almost every play.
Williams in motion, 2nd down and 5, and it is Rossitano attempting to pass, but it was off the fingertips of one of the Trojan defenders. Incomplete pass, 3rd down and 5.
And the thinking is they're trying to isolate David Hands, Matt Rossitano's favorite receiver, on a quick post, but it didn't happen. If you can't get to Matt, then the next best thing for a defensive lineman is to get his hands up, and that's what Canton Timken did.
Well, Matt has a couple of other favorite receivers, like John Gall, for example, who coming into this ball game had 18 receptions for 230 yards, a 12.7 average. Rossitano being chased, and there's a flag, and it looks like it may be a face mask penalty against the Trojans in favor of the Admirals, as Rossitano was scurrying around trying to find a receiver, at least get away from the backfield area.
And all intentions of the defensive end from Canton Timken was to bring down Matt, but in his haste to doing that, he went top to low, and he brought his hand over the face mask, definitely pulled that face mask.
And that's the call, face mask. That'll give the Admirals a first down.
You know, I'll tell you, when a kid's out of control defensively, what Matt did was, to his credit, he recognized what the defensive end was doing. He cut it up inside, and as the defensive end's going by Matt, he reaches out with a hand, and that's when you get called for those things.
The penalty puts the ball in Trojan territory. 1st and 10 for the Admirals on Canton Timken's 43-yard line. And again, the give on the draw play. The give is to Alan Penny. Penny picks up another huge first down for the Admirals and up close to the 21-yard line.
I'll tell you how amazing the play is. Both 50 linebackers from Timken were coming. The Admiral King offensive line handled all the people. Alan Penny was able to squirt through it, and with the linebackers in the Admiral King secondary, there's nobody there to make the tackle. So the draw ended up real well for Admiral King. Nice job, offensive lineman for Admiral King.
And again on the draw play, the give is to Alan Penny. Alan Penny picks up about 2 or 3 yards on the play. It'll be 2nd down.
And Admiral King had the run and shoot look, and they had the left half, the left wing back, slot man go into motion, but then he ended up being the lead blocker for Alan Penny and pick up 3 or 4.
Ball is on the 18-yard line, 2nd down and 7. Tillman in motion. And the pass is to David Hands, and right over his back, Stan Broyles for the Trojans, and a flag on that play, and that should be defensive interference.
Well, everybody else thinks it's a good call except for the gentleman to our right, which is the Canton Timken coaching staff, and it did look like the defensive corner came over his back. I mean, that's the guy in the field's got to make the call on that one. He definitely climbed his back.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's kind of difficult to catch a pass when you've got somebody on your back, especially in this particular case. Stan Broyles, 165 pounds. But can't much stand straight up.
Right, but you want to tell the Timken staff that summarization?
I just did. Not my fault if they're not listening. All right, on the 1st and goal for the Admirals. Alan Penny, the ball carrier.
Okay, good job by the defensive left end for Canton Timken. It's a run and shoot look, motion left by the slot back. And he was the kick out man on the defensive left end for Timken. And the Timken defensive left end stood up our running back lead blocker, netted him nothing. Nice play, Canton Timken.
2nd and goal, the ball on the 9-yard line.
I'd look for David Hands.
Tillman in motion. Rossitano to pass. He's being chased. Gets the ball loose, and it's knocked out of bounds. Oh, a reception. Oh, my goodness. A reception in on that play. James Williams for the Admirals.
Matt was forced out of the pocket. They were looking for David. Now, I don't know if James Williams was supposed to be the underneath receiver, but I'll tell you what, that's what it ended up. So now we've got, what, 3rd and 1 here? 3rd and goal?
We've got a 3rd and goal on the 1-yard line. 2 opportunities for the Admirals to punch this ball in. David Hand split wide to the left. Tillman in motion. Rossitano on the boot in the end zone. Touchdown, and the Admirals take the lead.
Bootleg keep, and why not?
And with the score now, Admiral King 13, Canton Timken 7, 3:44 remaining in the third quarter. And it will be Jordan Buck attempting the extra point. Rossitano will be doing the holding.
Jordan Buck will attempt the conversion. Matt Rossitano to hold.
Good snap, ball down, kick in the air, and it is good. 3:44 remaining in the third quarter. The Admiral King Admirals lead 14-7. And we would like to take this opportunity to again thank the fine folks at Tops Supermarket at the center of Sheffield for providing all of the fine refreshments here in the press backs for the electronic and print media, as well as the visiting coaches and the staff that does all the work here in the press box in putting these games in progress each and every Friday from George Daniel Field. Jordan Buck kicking off for the Admirals. Low kick taken on the 9-yard line by the Trojans. And it's Stanley Broyles, tackled by Tim Blakely. Broyles manages to get the ball up, however. There is a flag back on the 26-yard line and another flag on the 41-yard line.
Tim Blakely closed a potentially dangerous hole in the middle of the field and put a body slam on the Canton Timken returner.
Holding is the call against Canton Timken, and
we do this again, right, Ronnie?
Some kind of a foul against the Admirals. Unnecessary roughness
or
against
do they
the
walk
Admirals.
us off the one? Okay, that's what they have walked off each successive penalty.
And after all is said and done, the ball is on the Trojans' 43-yard line, where they take over 1st and 10. And the officials conferring again, so we have a momentary official timeout on the field. All right, having worked everything out, apparently, nothing has changed. 1st and 10, Trojans ball on their own 43. Curtis to pass, comes over to the far side, and the receiver, Eric Stovall. And there's another flag on the play back on the 41-yard line, and this time the Admirals are applauding. So apparently that first down effort by Stovall will go for naught.
3-step drop, got it out the receiver to the top of the screen, just a quick little pass, and now somebody just got thrown out.
All right, personal foul is the call against the Trojans.
Something must have happened interiorly because there was nothing wrong with the reset and the tackle at the top of the screen. Something happened between the tackles that, we weren't looking at. We're looking upstairs at.
And Coach Mike Hedrick is calling the officials over to the far side. He wants to know what it's all about, I'm sure.
And you know what? If you get thrown out of a game at the high school level in the state of Ohio, you cannot come back and play in the next game. You are barred from that participation for the next week.
15 yards being marched off against the Trojans, and that'll put the ball back on their own 26-yard line.
Did we catch? Is it number 44?
And coming out of the ball game is the Trojans' Mike Moses.
It's their tight end. Now he's being asked to leave the field completely and being escorted off by a coach.
I'm sure he is not a happy young man.
It's the one nice thing about sports is that, this is what sports teaches you, that if something happens between the white lines, you have got to keep your temper. And then what you do is the next play, you just play a little harder. You hurt your team and you hurt yourself when you lose your cool.
A lot of talking with the officials and the coaching staff, and what basically happened was the foul occurred after the play, so at the point where Eric Stovall was knocked out of bounds is where the officials marched off 15 yards. So it's 1st and 10 for the Trojans, and it's going to be 2nd and a whole lot more, as Curtis was nailed by the Admirals' Jason Williams all the way back to the 27-yard line.
Timken was trying to get Preston Curtis out in the perimeter where he can do some damage, and Jason Williams from his inside tackle position would have none of it. There was no way the quarterback had any time to set up whatsoever.
In the meantime, as we had indicated, not to accentuate the negative, but the Timken tight end, Mike Moses, a 212-pound senior, has left the playing field and is in the locker room as he was thrown out of the ball game for whatever infraction caused the situation and the loss of yardage. On the play for the Trojans, the ball carrier was Mendez Davis, and Alan Penny making the tackle.
Okay, with the split back situation, Timken was trying to do the quick pitch. John Gall had the initial hit. He was upset that he didn't make the tackle, but Alan Penny helped him out. Good thing for the Admirals. It is 3rd and a bundle.
3rd and about 15 for the Trojans. The ball on their own 34-yard line. Clock is running now with 2 minutes remaining in the 3rd quarter of play. Admirals leading 14-7. And it's homecoming for the Admirals. Curtis to pass into the flats, looking for running room. The receiver in this particular case for the Trojans, Keenan Hughes, now in the lineup, replacing Mike Moses at tight end.
Chris Miller was on the tackle run. We were looking.
All right, the ball now up to the Trojans' 44-yard line. Pickup of about 10 yards on the play. It's 4th down and 5.
The Timken receiver on this quick pass to the top of the screen was crafty. Instead of looping out there, after you receive the ball, you want to try to put a move on and make the defender miss. Well, he'd been going outside after the catch. This time he came inside. Picked up 10, but not enough.
On the 4th down, it's a punting situation. Sean Waltz will do the punting from about his 35-yard line. Good punt taken by David Hands. Hands from his 21 looking for running room. Gets across the 25 up to about the 29-yard line, where the Admirals will take over 1st and 10.
Stop by 37. Kevin Potter.
Admirals on the move once again. David Hands split wide to the left. Over here to the near side. Tillman in motion. And the give is to Tillman. Tackle made by Mendez Davis.
Run and shoot look. Jeff Tillman at the top of the screen from the slot position went into motion. Kind of a sweep down here to us. And you know, Ron, what is interesting here, Admiral King, after winning this ball game against Vermillion last week, it's amazing what happens to a victory to a team that needs one, and then they come back the next week and look at the effort Admiral King is giving.
And they are doing an outstanding job, especially due to the fact that there have been some injuries tonight.
Sure.
On a 2nd and 9. And it's the big pass play, and it's Rossitano to David Hands to the 10, the 5, and he's in the end zone. Touchdown, David Hands, and a play that has covered a total of 50, 60, 65 yards. What a beautiful play.
You know what set that up? The fake to Jake Baxter at fullback. I think you and I were both ready to say that Jake Baxter was tackled going right off tackle. And I'm telling you what, if the cameras had been on, I don't know how good Bob Quinlan's eyes were. I don't know if he was fooled. All of a sudden, Matt's got the ball, and he's throwing the ball to David Hands. That's an excellent play-action pass or whatever.
And our producer, director, cameraman Bob Quinlan said, he got it, he got it.
Boy.
And so did Jordan Buck on the extra point attempt with 21 seconds remaining in the third quarter of play. It's Admiral King 21, Canton Timken 7. Buck kicking off for the Admirals. Nice kickoff. Taken at about the 6-yard line by the Trojan Stanley Broyles. And Broyles is tackled immediately, if not sooner, after coming up a few yards by Tim Blakely.
This addition, Tim Blakely on this kickoff team, I watched him because he made the tackle on the last kickoff. If you saw him, he broke down on the ball at the proper time and then laid a thud. There were 2 kids that made the tackle from King, but Blakely in the middle has made a significant difference in this kickoff team of Admiral King.
Well, we thank the state of Tennessee for sending this fine young man up north.
And if he's got some brothers and cousins,
come on up.
Come on up, not down, up.
Yeah. On the 1st and 10, Curtis going to pass, looking for a receiver coming over to the near side. A wobbly pass intercepted by David Hands. Hands across the 30, and the Admirals have the ball once again. Hands tackled by Acoria Stovall.
And I'm going to tell you what, Jesus Sanchez, I believe, on the defensive line, got enough pressure on Preston Curtis to make sure that that ball was underthrown. And you know, you're looking at David Hands' nice intercept, but it's Jesus Sanchez that initially caused the quarterback to underthrow the ball.
1st and 10 for the Admirals. They've got the ball on the Trojan 29-yard line. Williams in motion from the shotgun. Rossitano and passes. The receiver for the Admirals, John Gall. Good yardage on that pass play. Stop made by Stan Broyles, and that's the end of the third quarter of play with the Admiral King Admirals leading 21-7. And we'll be back with the start of the 4th and final quarter right after this timeout for our fine friends at First Federal Savings of Lorain.
Since 1921, your hometown financial professionals at First Federal Savings of Lorain have dedicated themselves to meeting the financial needs of their customers and surrounding communities. They offer a wide variety of financial investments as well as home mortgages to meet your every need. Loans on cars, boats, mobile homes, and other worthwhile purchases are also available. Whatever your financial need, First Federal Savings of Lorain is ready to help. 6 convenient locations to serve you in Lorain, Huron, Sandusky, and Port Clinton, with a 7th office opening soon in Avon. First Federal Savings of Lorain is an equal housing lender and FDIC insured.
The 2nd down and about 3 yards to go. The ball on the 23-yard line. Tillman in motion. And the give up the middle to Alan Penny. Penny to the 10, to the 5, in the end zone, touchdown. Alan Penny just refused to be taken down as some of the Trojans tried to get their hands on, and one in particular, Calvin Hope, had no hope of bringing down Alan Penny.
Boy, did I like that. Calvin Hope had no hope. Are you practicing these?
Oh,
anyways, I want to get back to football.
Okay.
On this play, the one thing on the previous play, Matt Rossitano hit a nice curl route to John Gall. Timken is so worried about the pass that when they're spread out, there was no free safety there, and Alan Penny on the trap walked into the end zone.
Holding is Rossitano. Jordan Buck putting the foot to the ball, and it is good. And 52 seconds remaining in this ball game. The Admiral King Admirals have a 21-point lead, 28-7. I'd rather partial and say that Jordan Buck is fortunately getting quite a workout tonight as the kickoff is taken on about the 7-yard line, bringing the ball up for the Trojans, Keenan Hughes, and he is tackled, brought down by the Admirals, Jake Baxter. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Trojans, the ball being spotted just over their 20-yard line.
Now, how quickly the fortunes have changed. Everybody in the Admiral stands are really buzzed up and really feeling good about this game. The Admiral King team is up, and Canton Timken is just walking to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. Hey, a 21-point lead can take the wind out of one's sails quickly, sooner than expected. Curtis passing, and the ball taken by Mendez, flipped to Eric Stovall, and Stovall is going to go all the way in 80 yards for a touchdown, and I see no flags anywhere. And how quickly that turned as I opened mouth and put foot in about wind being taken out of one's sails.
I'd say you were hook, line, and sinker deep on that one. Now, did you see what happened to that? That was the old
flea flicker?
Well, no, flea flicker is behind the line of scrimmage. That's the hook and ladder.
Oh, hook and ladder.
Hook and ladder. I told you were knee deep in hook and ladder. What that was, it was a throwback to the outside receiver, and one of the left half in the split backs trailed around. The receiver caught the ball and hook and laddered to the running back.
Waltz on the attempt on the extra point, and it is good.
And there's 11 minutes in the fourth quarter. This is interesting.
And with 11:31 remaining in the ball game, it's Admiral King now leading the Trojans 28-14. Kicking off for the Trojans. Low kick. Taken and downed at that point in time when it was taken by the Admirals' Alan Penny. So he will not be able to advance the ball, and the Admirals will take over 1st and 10 as the ball is spotted just inside their own 20-yard line.
Right, in high school football, when that knee touches, that play ends. And remember I told you 3 or 4 plays ago where Canton Timken's step was a little bit slow? Well, it's picked up a little bit.
Yes. Well, they're beginning to see a little light now at the end of the tunnel, and as we pointed out a couple of times, there's certainly plenty of time left in this ball game. From the shotgun, Rossitano. Tillman in motion. Rossitano being chased. Gets the ball away and incomplete.
Okay, let me set it up. Run and shoot look. Slot to the bottom of the screen, motions to trips. Matt rolls left. If he had had time, and remember, he's a right-handed quarterback, and you got to get set up. It's kind of tough to throw on the run when you're running left and you're right-handed. David Hands had stopped his pattern. The Timken receiver had gone up to worry about Rossitano. David Hands, for a split second, would have had a touchdown pass if Matt was able to get him the ball. But
Eric Stovall was putting on the pressure for the Trojans.
Couldn't be done.
2nd down and 10. Rossitano to pass again. Up the middle to the intended receiver, Jeff Tillman, just a little out of his reach. It'll be 3rd and 10.
And you could have been picky there because Jeff Tillman was on coverage with the Timken receiver, and there was a bump. And I think the officials just decided that, hey, no foul intended. But hey, I've seen stranger things called on pass interference. That could have been called.
On the 3rd and 10, Rossitano again from the shotgun. This time he hands the ball off to
Jake Baxter. Right?
Jake Baxter. Baxter gets the ball across the 20-yard line. Tackle made by Eric Stovall.
Now remember, when Jake Baxter before on this draw has popped the ball in the middle, the linebackers have been coming. I'm sure one of the adjustments at halftime for Timken was, if we're going to send the linebackers on a blitz to the Admiral King quarterback, make sure that you break down and be careful of the draw. And that time they took care of business.
On the 4th and 8, a punting situation as Jordan Buck will be punting back around his 10-yard line. Gets the ball away, and it's grabbed by the Trojans' Preston Curtis. Curtis brought down by a host of Admiral tacklers, and the Trojans with good field position as they'll take over now 1st and 10 from the Admirals' 41-yard line.
Good job by the Canton Timken receiver. Didn't go east and west, he went north and south and picked up 5 yards for his trouble.
Ten minutes, 30 seconds remaining in the ball game. Trojans on the move. Like we said, good field position. And a bad snap from center, not handled by Curtis. We'll see when they unpile if Curtis was able to get the ball, and apparently, whoa, the Admirals are saying, we got it. We got it. And look who came up with the ball, our Tennessee wonder, Tim Blakely, and the Admirals take over 1st and 10 on that bad snap and the apparent fumble. 1st and 10 from the Trojans' 42-yard line. What a break.
Shades of vermilion minus the rain.
Yes.
Hey, you know, real quickly, the flag football that's being done in the city of Lorain, Ray Ebersol is going to put together a tournament that's going to be held the week of the King Southview game here to let some of these 6th graders play in the George Daniels football field.
Wow, excellent. Ray Ebersol, by the way, the new athletic director for the Lorain City Schools. And there's the flea flicker.
There it is.
I knew there was a flea flicker somewhere in this repertoire of plays, but it did not materialize as the pass from Rossitano to John Gall incomplete.
Because you're asking me questions, I'm going to ask you one. You have used a technological word here in the football game, a flea flicker. Would you tell me what it is?
Well, the handoff, the quarterback hands off the ball to one of the backs, who in turn gets it right back to the quarterback, who then moves and attempts the pass.
You and I are going to switch roles here. I'll do the stand-up.
No, thank you. No, thank you. I learned too much by listening to you.
Oh, boy, here we go.
On the 2nd down and 10, and there was a pitch from Rossitano to Alan Penny, but Penny goes nowhere. In fact, a loss on the play of about 2 yards.
Now, I'm going to tell you a little trickery there. I'll take this one and won't ask your opinion on it. That was a shovel pass. Shovel, S-H-O-V-E-L, which meant?
Like snow shovel.
Like snow shovel, but we'll take snow off it. Matt had the ball, and then as he ran, he shoveled it to the running back. If that ball had been dropped, it would not have been a fumble, but an incomplete pass.
And I didn't mean to use that nasty word snow.
Oh, okay, well, it's coming.
You're right. Rossitano on the 3rd down passing, far side. Tillman broken up at the last moment. A beautiful job on the part of the defensive back, Stan Broyles.
I'll tell you what, I'll give you a coaching word phrase here. Closing speed. Jeff Tillman, there was some kind of pick action or some kind of screening where Broyles initially, because remember Timken's in man. Tillman had the advantage. Broyles just closed down with the speed at the end and just knocked that away. What a nice athlete he is out there in the secondary.
On the 4th and 12, the Admirals again in a punting situation, but we will assume this time around it'll put the Trojans in their own territory. Good snap from center.
Is right.
Good punt.
Hey, Timken's yelling, and the receiver did not call for the.
Eric Stovall did not put a hand up. He did not call for a fair catch, and he is fair game as a result.
But I'll throw this out. This is what the Timken coaches are screaming at, that the receiver, the punt receiver, needs 2 yards, which would only be fair, to have a fair chance to catch that ball. And that's a judgment thing by the officials. They thought everything was fair.
Well, he caught it, and it's the Trojan ball, 1st and 10 from their own 37-yard line. In motion, Rosenbachus. Curtis to pass, and the ball is knocked loose, picked up by the Admirals, and it's going to be the Admirals' ball again. And making the big play for the Admirals, Jason Williams. The 2nd time in a row from the initial play from scrimmage that the Trojans have coughed up the ball, and the Admirals have it. In this particular case, it was just a matter of Curtis being hit so hard, the ball came loose, and the Admirals got it.
And he came from the blind side, Jason Williams did. So the quarterback was setting up to throw to the 2 receivers at the top of the screen. He never saw Williams coming.
And the Admirals want to talk it over as they'll take the ball 1st and 10 from the Trojan 25-yard line. Timeout on the field. 1st and 10 from the Trojans 25-yard line. The Admirals on the move, and it's Tillman with the ball. Picks up maybe about a yard on the play.
Okay, run and shoot look, motion the top of the screen. Motion didn't go through. The motion man became the lead blocker, and Jeff Tillman was the runner. And Jeff Tillman did a heck of a job last week by coming in the second half when Matt Rossitano had bruised his knee. First-year football player, put him in the quarterback spot, rain and all that, and he helped win that football game.
In fact, Tillman is the quarterback at this point in time, and Matt Rossitano is split wide to the left.
Boy, did you catch that.
And it's Tillman again with the ball running. Tillman gets up to about the 20-yard line. Tackle made by Mendez Davis.
Now, what they can do now, Ron, if they've got Tillman, what you're seeing, folks, is what they did with at Vermillion minus Matt Rossitano. Although I think before Matt got hurt in the first half, he did play the wide receiver. So you had the run and shoot look with Mr. Bacalar being right. Jeff Tillman's the quarterback. Let's see if they do something with throwing the ball to Matt, or Matt just might be a decoy.
All right, Matt is back out, split wide to the left. Tillman in the quarterback spot from the shotgun. Allen Penny in motion briefly. Baxter now in motion. And it's Tillman passing over to the far corner. Rossitano, first down and out of bounds at the 5-yard line. No flags on the play. That should be a first and goal from the Trojans' 5-yard line.
Who called that?
You did.
Okay, there's a player that's down, but what they did was Jeff Tillman didn't, it wasn't a pretty pass, but it was an effective pass. And you know what happened? The Timken receiver fell down. He just lost his feet. Are we? Did Matt Rossitano get hurt?
Yes.
Well,
yes, that's the indication.
Oh, man. For all that he's gone through last week, and he ended up with a bruised knee.
And Matt's father and uncle over there on the far side act as the chain gang.
Right.
And yeah, they're calling over some officials.
I'll tell you what, just on October 25th, I believe at 1 o'clock, ESPN, if I've got my date and time right, will show that ESPN interview with Matt for the accomplishments that he had the first week of the season with the 5 touchdown passes. And it's good to see that old number 10 is bouncing up a little bit.
Oh, yeah, he's up and he is running. In the meantime, for the Trojans also, Anthony Ruffin was roughed up on that play. I don't mean it to sound facetious, but it happened. And
I love you, English major, even though you're retired.
All right, the snap from center to Tillman was a bad snap, and that's going to bring the ball back to the 15-yard line, where it's going to be second and goal from about the 15. A bad break there for the Admirals.
On the little humor that you and I are having on the previous play, notwithstanding, it's good to see Matt coming back in and Mr. Ruffian come back with his feathers unruffled. I can play this game too. On this play here, we'll get back to football again. Bad snap. Jeff Tillman's the quarterback, and he did the best thing, which was just to pounce on the ball. Are you done?
Yes. Who else has fun but humans? And a timeout being called by the Admirals with 7:37 remaining in the ball game. 28-14, King on top. Time back in as the Admirals with a second and goal from just inside the 15-yard line. Now Rossitano back in at quarterback as Tillman is in motion. Rossitano rolling, and he is brought down, grabbing that shoulder and making Rossitano lose his balance. The Trojans' Kevin Bonner.
And Matt, now there's a flag, and we're saying that okay, here's what happened. Matt's looking to bootleg to the top of the bottom of the screen. As remember I said about breaking down, the Canton Timken defender did not break down, and as he went by, he grabbed the top of Matt's head. And Matt was looking for a face mask, didn't get it, and I think one of the Admiral King players thought he had been face masked. So, hey, Timken said something at one time and lost a player, and King's got mad here. You got to keep your cool.
All right, 15 yards marched off against the Admirals. It's 3rd and goal now from the 43-yard line. The Admirals had a golden opportunity and just not making it happen this time around.
I played safe and run the draw and punt the ball.
Rossitano in the shotgun formation. And he's going to throw downfield. David Hands, the intended receiver. And covering on the play for the Trojans, the quarterback and also defensive free safety, Preston Curtis.
You know what hurt that play? Look at the big old American flag. We're throwing, Admiral King is throwing right into it.
Yes, and the wind is out of the south, and it is brisk.
Right, it's knocking Pepsi cans up here, Coke cans.
And it's giving me the shivers.
That play, Matt was throwing it downfield considerably, and the wind just ate that ball up.
On the 4th down, Jordan Buck will be punting. He's situated on his own 45-yard line, being rushed, and he gets the ball away. And it will be down by the Admirals at about the 20-yard line.
Good job by Jordan Buck. He knew they were coming, and he got that ball off quickly.
And kicking into the wind, too.
And kicking into the wind. Very effective punt.
6:44 remaining in the ball game, 6 minutes, 44 seconds. The Trojans now with a 1st and 10 on their own 20-yard line.
20-yard line.
Wonder if the hook and ladder is in use again here.
Curtis to pass, and he's not going to grab it, and there's a flag. Well, I should have said he's not going to be able to throw it. Mark Fox making the tackle on Curtis for a big loss on the play.
Once again, the Admirals defenders from the defensive right side of Admiral King is playing havoc on the offensive left side of Canton Timken. The backside of Timken's quarterback has just been pummeled, and this is why the ball's been given up.
All right, holding is the call against the Trojans. It is refused by the Admirals. They'll take the loss and give the Trojans a 2nd down situation, a loss of about 6 yards on the play. So rather than have a 1st and 20, the Trojans now have a 2nd and 16. The ball is on the 14. Curtis handing off to his big fullback, Ricky Taylor. Tackle made by John Gall. Taylor gets the ball back to the original line of scrimmage, and it will be 3rd down and 10.
Short dive to the big fullback, and John Gall did a nice job. 3rd and long. Timken's going to have to do something positive here.
Curtis unsure as he was standing by his center and looking over to the benches to, what do I do, coach? And the Trojans have called the timeout on the field. They need to talk about it. Faced with a big play now, 3rd and 10. Curtis looking to pass into the flats, and the intended receiver, Coria Stovall, just wasn't looking in time, and the ball fell short. David Hands was covering on the play for the Admirals. Now the Trojans faced with a 4th and 10 from their own 20-yard line.
Split back package for Timken. The left half ran a flare route, which is behind the line of scrimmage, incomplete pass, and David gave him a little love tap to boot.
Sean Waltz will be punting from about his own 10-yard line. David Hands, the deep receiver, as the punt lands on the 49 and rolls out of bounds on the Trojans' 49. So a pickup of 2 yards without anyone touching the ball. Just one of those bounces. Admirals ball 1st and 10 from the Trojans' 49-yard line. Another opportunity for them to add to their score as Rossitano from the shotgun gets the ball and hands off to Victor Baxter.
You know, Ron, to be honest with you, I don't think the Admirals are going to, especially with the wind being the way it is and being up by 2 scores. Hey, it was a draw to Jake Baxter. Run your double handoff. Be safe. Let the clock run. Punt the ball and play defense.
All right, a loss of 2 yards on the play, 2nd down and 12. And for whatever reason, the Admirals are now calling a timeout. All right, the Admirals line up to the ball at the 49-yard line, as we indicated. A loss of 2 on the play, 2nd down and 12. Tillman in motion. Rossitano hands off to Alan Penny. Penny gets the ball back into Trojan territory.
Penny takes it back into Timken territory. Stop by number 37, Kevin Bonner.
Making the tackle for the Trojans, Kevin Bonner.
Well, Admiral King just looks with 4:40 left. Nice little run by Alan Penny. Just like I said before, it's third and 9. Put the ball on the ground, let the clock grind out, and punt the ball.
And the clock continues to run with 4 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in the ball game. Tillman again in motion. And the give this time is to Baxter. Baxter gets the ball across the 45-yard line, and that'll give the Admirals a 4th down. Making the tackle, Victor Mackey.
Jake Baxter, Alan Penny's an effective runner for the fullback spot also, but Jake is a very short in height type of guy, and he can get under the pads of the defender, and then those legs of his just keep on churning. He's a tough little guy to bring down. Likewise with Alan Penny.
On the 4th and 6, it will be Jordan Buck punting. He'll be punting the ball from about his own 45-yard line.
Good snap.
Good snap, good punt. Comes down on the 25 and rolls inside the 5-yard line. Back as deep receiver was Eric Stovall, and he just let the ball go.
Critical part of the kicking game, whether it's kickoff return, punt return, it's teaching kids to know when to catch the ball and when not to. Instead of Timken being on the 20, they're inside the 4. Jordan Buck couldn't have planned that any better.
Again, kicking into the wind. That's the remarkable thing here.
And not getting it blocked. All of the above.
Absolutely. All right, the Trojans, 1st and 10. The ball just inside their own 5-yard line. Preston Curtis takes the snap. Hands it off to Mendez Davis.
There was no quitting Mendez Davis on that play, and he broke through. I think Mark Fox had a shot at him, and Jesus Sanchez. No quit on him on that play.
Ball spotted just over the 10-yard line. Pickup of 6, 2nd down and 4. Clock continues to run with 2 minutes and 55 seconds remaining in the ball game. And it's Curtis with the ball on the keeper. And he was met and hit hard by the Admirals' John Gall.
Timken did something they haven't done all night, and I think they should have been doing earlier. Not so much the one-back set, but they had the quarterback keep off the dive.
Curtis did manage to get the necessary yardage for 1st down. Trojans now 1st and 10 from their own 17-yard line. Curtis back to pass, throwing downfield, and caught.
Is the official giving a spot? Yes, he is.
Yes, indeed. Caught by the Trojans, Keenan Hughes, now playing tight end for the Trojans. A beautiful pass play.
Sure.
And that gives the Trojans now a 1st and 10 in Admiral King territory on the Admirals' 41-yard line.
Timken had trips to the top of the screen, and 43. Keenan Hughes just ran a streak. And Preston Curtis, what a nice throw. What a nice catch by the receiver.
Curtis into the flats, connects to Eric Stovall, who goes nowhere after catching the ball. Covering on the play for the Admirals, Chris Miller.
You know, while we've got a second here, I know this is not football, but the band from Admiral King is lining up and getting ready to go home, and the nice new uniforms look nice.
Absolutely. As we indicated earlier, they're being worn for the absolute positive first time at this football game. Well, they also appeared on Channel 8 this morning wearing their brand new uniforms and did a remarkable job. Curtis to pass on the second down, and he's keeping the ball. There is a flag, however, a flag in the backfield as Curtis gets to the 10, the 5. He's in the end zone, but I think it's all going to be brought back. There is a flag back on the Admirals' 45-yard line.
And there's also an Admirals player down, but I'm going to tell you how critical this play is. If this touchdown goes and they get the extra point with 1:30 left, Canton Timken will most assuredly try the onside kick, and then things are interesting.
Holding is the call against the Trojans. That will definitely not keep the ball where it is right at the moment on the 3-yard line for the extra point attempt, because there was no touchdown.
Yeah, right. It's coming back, and we don't know who the Admiral King player
was. The player shaken up on that play, but he was able to walk off the field on his own effort, accompanied by David Dury, the new athletic trainer for the Lorain City Schools. Curtis trying to pass, and he is going to be swarmed for a loss back on the 40-yard line. And again, making the stop, Jason Williams for the Admirals.
Boy, is he having a game, and I'll tell you who wasn't far behind also was Mark Fox. And from Timken's left offensive line side, they've had all sorts of trouble containing the Admirals' charge.
3rd down and 30 for the Trojans, and they're calling a timeout with 1 minute and 15 seconds remaining in this ball game. Timeout for whatever reason. Jake Harder had to be accompanied off the field again due to an injury. It looked like he was limping slightly, possibly again to his knee from that earlier injury back in the first half. On the 3rd and 30, Curtis looking to pass, being chased, and wow, almost was brought down. And he's finally going to be out of bounds on the Admirals' 46-yard line. And he will be far short of the first down, but the Trojans do have a 4th with 1 minute and 3 seconds remaining in this ball game. They'll have a 4th and 16.
Their quarterback is exciting. I would certainly think at some point in time that you would have an option, or besides the bootleg, that gets this kid out in the field, because Tim Blakely, the defensive right end, did everything right to try to keep contained, and he didn't have the foot speed to keep up with Preston Curtis.
This is going to be a do-or-die play for the Trojans as they've got the 4th and 15. Curtis back to pass with the ball. He's keeping it. He's running it to the 40, the 35, and he is not going to make the first down as he lost the ball on his way down.
And guess who brought him down? Tim Blakely, from the defensive end position, came down and hit him on the blind side and caused him to cough up that football. Tim Blakely, nice football game.
And David Hands coming up with the ball.
Sure.
With 52 seconds remaining in this ball game, the Admirals take over 1st and 10, and no doubt they'll just run out the clock.
This Tim Blakely has been quite an addition.
As we indicated, in case you joined us late, this is a homecoming game for the Admirals, and prior to the start of the ball game, in the ceremony of the crowning of the Admiral King and the Admiral Queen, Jesus Sanchez, a member of the Admiral King football team, was crowned the king, and Michelle Muniz was crowned the queen. So our congratulations to Jesus Sanchez and Michelle Muniz, king and queen, 1999.
I think everybody's going to dance tomorrow a little bit better because they won this ball game tonight.
Delay of game is the call against the Admirals. It'll bring the ball back to their 26-yard line. It'll be 1st and 15. The clock did not move at all in that period of time. The Admirals with a 14-point lead, 28-14. And I think it would be safe at this point in time to declare this an Admiral King victory, putting them 3-5 on the season. Matt takes the snap from center, goes back a couple 3 yards, puts his knee down, and the clock continues to run as we've got 40 seconds. It'll be second down for the Admirals from their own 23-yard line. The band strikes up, and victory in the air here at George Daniel Stadium. This should be the last play of the ball game. And Matt again takes the snap from center, puts the knee to the ground, and the clock begins to run down. 15 seconds, 13 seconds, 11, 10, so on and so forth. And that's the end of the ball game. The Admiral King Admirals coming out victorious tonight as they did last Friday in Vermilion. Final score 28-14. Trojans of Canton Timken, John, go back to their hometown with a 4-4 record, and the Admirals, who last season had a 2-7 record, having played only 9 games, are now 3-5. So they've got a better situation this year than they did last year, and that's got to make them and Coach Tom Steiner happy. How do you size up the game tonight, John?
Oh, what a great win. What a nice way to have a homecoming dance tomorrow night for Admiral King Admirals football team and their students. But to me, it all goes back to last week. Admiral King was down 12-0 in the fourth quarter. They had lost their number 1 quarterback. Technically, if you played the game out and everybody read it the next morning, Admiral King should have lost that ball game. They did not. Kids come back this week. They believe in themselves. It's the same coaching. It's the same place. But the kids just believe a little bit more in themselves because they pulled one out that maybe they shouldn't have. And I'll tell you, this was the best played football game that we have seen Admiral King play. And it wasn't an easy one because Timken was a nice football team.
And I agree with you wholeheartedly. Tomorrow night here at George Daniel Stadium, the Southview Saints will be playing a home game, and we'll be back here next Friday as the Saints will host Youngstown Lorain, and the Admiral King Admirals, by the way, will be back here at George Daniel Stadium on Saturday. So after 2 weekends of absolutely no games, we've got 2 weekends with a game Friday and Saturday. And Admiral King, as we said, on Saturday will go against Warren Holland. We'll be here next Friday when Southview goes against Youngstown Lorain. Until that time, for our producer, director, and cameraman Bob Quinlan, my partner John Nesbitt, I'm Ron Backlar. Final score, Admiral King 28, Canton Timken 14. Good night, everyone.